be the best. Yeah.
And we're back. More TVTs, everybody. This one should be even better. Cure versus Maru. I guess the question I'm asking is, can we have any game as long and as crazy as Cure ByuN Game 1? I think Cure Maru could give it to us. I do think Maru is probably supposed to win this 2-0, 2-1. I think Cure has been nipping at Maru's heels for years. I don't know that he is at a level still where he will surpass him. I would welcome it if it happened, but I think anybody who's a realist has to say Maru probably takes this. I just hope the series is long and dramatic.
Yeah, Maru has been Cure's kryptonite for what feels like the last 2 years. And Cure's been really good in that time, too. It feels like almost Maru's the only player that can stop him. And now here we are in the winner's match of Group A. Cure 2 map wins away from the round of 4. Is Maru going to stop him again? We're about to find out, Tasteless. Game number 1 is loading up on Oceanborn. Cure versus Maru. One of these players going in first place to the round of 4.
Okay, we've got Cure here in the top left, Maru in the bottom right. I do feel like this is where the real TVTs are going to begin, because I think that Cure had to be hiding stuff in the ByuN match because Maru is the big obstacle for him in the GSL.
Right.
I mean, I think that's undeniable.
It's the only player that's really stopped him in the GSL for a while.
From Ferries?
For Ferris?
Ferris?
You spelled Paris wrong. For Rose?
We love seeing you guys in the audience.
For Rose Islands?
Maybe it's a person. He's like, hey, say go Maru, and it's like, this is his message. I'm putting
yeah, I see what you're
could
saying.
be.
I see what you're saying.
But you know, when you look at Cure and really his whole place and where he fits in the GSL, he really is one of the greatest Terrans we've ever had. And he has basically been top 3, top 2 Terran GSL for years and years and years.
Especially recently.
And I think for him, these should be the best prepped builds of the tournament, because I think if he can beat Maru here and avoid him, at least maybe until the finals, he should be set.
Cure in, by the way, Maru barely missing the CC block. He's going to do some SCV harassment. Don't see this very often in TBT. The Reaper's only halfway done. This feels like a PBT opening almost here for Maru.
I was going to say, I don't feel like we cast this as much TBT, although I guess it makes sense to try
and Maru
it out.
actually not fast expanding, by the way. He's going for a factory first. Interesting opening. But to go back to the point you were making earlier, Cure, in the last 4 GSLs, if I'm not mistaken, has gotten top 4 in 3 of them. And in all 3 of those GSLs, Maru won.
Yeah, it's
Maru is just the final boss for this guy.
This is almost like part of the tragic story of Cure, right? Is like, there's nothing worse than maybe being number 2 and then staying number 2 for really long, you know, and maybe never breaking that mold.
It's kind of the story of Sue for so long.
I was thinking just that. And, you know, I think Sue has taken up so much of the bandwidth in narratives like that that it's easy to forget that it's kind of true for Cure and Maru here. And the thing is, Cure can beat Maru and does beat Maru, but Maru overwhelmingly wins in matches versus Cure, especially important matches like this one.
Yeah, oftentimes, if they play, the series will go to match point. It's just that Maru is barely edging out Cure in the end, time and time again. I mean, this guy is arguably still the best TBT player in the world.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's been a big history of great Terrans, so I think TVT, this whole region has just been great at that matchup. I think Korea's had better TVT than the rest of the world by a stretch for pretty much the entirety of StarCraft 2.
Yeah, it does feel that way. I never really thought about it, but
yeah, sometimes some regions will just be better at matchups because of the players that are involved there.
Well, the Cyclone's out now for Cure, so that will shoo Maru away from the natural expansion. Maru was able to delay mining. Had that natural for the whole duration until that Cyclone was done, so just slow down the economy of Cure a little bit. I wonder where Maru is going to go from here, excuse me. So he's starting Siege Tank production, adding in another gas at the Natural expansion, as is Cure. And I was expecting maybe a little bit more of an explosion in terms of aggression from Maru, given that he delayed the first command center so much. But he's really not leading that heavily into the aggression. He is coming out with a Cyclone and 4 Marines in this medevac to pair up with the units he has already stationed outside of Cure's natural expansion. But with the siege tank popping, if Cure gets that into a good position, it is going to be hard to breach this spot.
Okay, here we go.
Here he comes.
Maru's coming up. The tank's sieged up. I don't feel like this is going to make anything work here. He has to shuffle out. Yeah, I was going to say he has to shuffle out the units to get them to load into the Cyclone. This just looks kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's like we're watching Maru micro really well and just kind of lose the fight overall long term. There are more units being trafficked out through the map. They're going to be bussed right up to the natural expansion. So this isn't done. In fact, this attack is really just getting started.
Yeah, but for now, the army really thin here. For Maru, just a handful of units with a Cyclone trying to get something done. And one thing he is succeeding in doing is forcing Cure into a really defensive posture between the main base and the natural expansion with these siege tanks. And that's going to allow Maru coming out with the Vikings to get into a very strong position with tanks. And this is more of a, this is a stronger version of what Cure attempted to do in game number 2 against ByuN. Maru is hitting a lot faster with siege tanks. He's already made, I believe, 4 Vikings at unit tab right now, 4 Vikings, adding in the Liberators. And so he's going to have air control locked down. He's going to be using that vision, and he is just not going to give Cure an inch.
The question is going to be, can Maru make it work, or is this just going to be an overextension? He's going to land the Vikings because he's losing the tank fight. He does manage to counter-snipe that tank and then get away without being hit by that siege tank as the Vikings pick up in time.
Oh, and now he's going into the main base. He's planning on trying to find some kind of play. The Marine count here for Cure is still healthy, but they're very low on HP because Cure just needs so many Vikings out right now. He's beginning to build 1 medevac, but all the Marines based on 1 HP here for Cure is very concerning.
I guess these tanks are not quite in range of each other. I was expecting them to start hitting each other. He is hitting the command center, and he is taking a 3rd base. So Maru's strategy is beginning to pan out.
Ravens
Here
coming
comes
in
the disables. He needs to land the Vikings.
Oh, the tanks were able to unsiege. They both get saved there by Maru. Lightning fast reactions. Cure is going to be able to win the battle on the ground, but Maru will escape with both of the siege tanks. That's a huge win.
Are you kidding me? I can't believe he actually got away with that.
That's crazy.
Lightning fast reaction speeds.
And that means this push isn't over just yet, or maybe it does. Cure's army actually way more formidable than I was expecting. Well, at this stage. It's very damaged, but there's still a lot left.
The idea is you just kind of generate the imagery of threats, but in fact, it's a macro build from here on out. I don't think Maru actually wants to engage at all.
Yeah, his 3rd base is so much faster than Cure's back at home, already adding in the 2nd factory as well. Viking count's dead even. And I think Maru from here is basically going to go into mech. I don't think we've seen Stim come in. There's no additional barracks unless I'm mistaken. It is just Maru powering up. Yeah, he's adding in another starport. He's adding in tech labs. He's basically going straight into mech from the opening here. And I think Cure kind of knows the game is going to go this way too. Maru plays a very different flavor of TVT than somebody like ByuN, who will just stay on low tech siege tank Marine medevac until the end of days. And actually, Cure coming in, those Ravens do have energy. One of them gets sniped there by the Vikings.
He almost gets the 2nd Viking. He realizes he can't get away here, so he's going to try to cut, deal as much damage as he can before having to give these up. And so he does thin out the Marines, but it's 4 tanks, a lot of Vikings, and honestly a very fragile looking position here for Maru.
Yeah, I don't know if Maru can stabilize from here given the mech transition. He needed those units to stay alive, Tasteless.
Yeah, I think losing those 2 tanks specifically.
He has 4 Vikings, a tank, Cyclone, and Reaper. That's the whole army right now for Maru, and you can see he's desperate. He's pulling the SCVs to try and fight these Vikings on the low ground. And Cure is just running over this position. GG.
I feel like I've never seen a Viking get pushed by a Reaper mine. When that happened, I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Are they trying to take off, but they went sideways? Okay,
Maru a little bit too greedy with that one. The push for the very beginning, it was good, but I think he stayed too long in the middle of the map.
Yeah.
Cure was able to sweep him off his feet, and if Maru was playing a more typical bio transition from there, I think he's fine. I think he takes the bruise, but he stabilizes back at home. But the fact that he went for the 2nd starport, they went for the 2nd factory, that he only had 1 barracks and no bio upgrades whatsoever, It takes a while to get the macro machine of mech going defensively back at home. You really have to play almost perfectly on defense if you want to survive the mid game there against a player with an army composition as powerful as Cure's. So Maru a little bit too greedy with the army positioning there in the center of the map. He loses the Vikings, he loses the siege tanks, and suddenly there is no backbone to his army anymore, and Cure just runs him over at the natural expansion, breaching the third base as well. And Maru's going to have to buckle down for Cure. This is a really promising beginning to this series.
Yeah. So we're going to go to Ghost River here. I think Maru maybe fancy level a little bit too high. Let's see what he tries here on our next map. Okay, both players in the top, Cure on the left, Maru on the right. And I don't know. It's funny, when that push started to come out, sometimes I think we can all admit we do this, whether it's in a game or you're watching a game, or in this case I was casting, I almost tunnel visioned on the third base itself and then the rest of the push. And yeah, I didn't even notice the mech transition right away, right? Because a lot of times if you see something like that, the idea is that you have the CC a little bit ahead of the barracks, and then you're playing catch up. And the idea is if you can just kind of play keep away, if you can just kind of play hide the ball, by the time that they've either got a third base or they've got a counter push, you have enough to deal with it. I'm a little bit surprised he went for mech there, but already this game is looking very different. We have one barracks made at 12 o'clock, and the way the SCV is going to scout on this map, it pulls them down underneath this diamond that they're just now going by. So this is interesting. Cure, by the way, he may be able to just rug pull with the opening here and like knock Maru out of this game.
Yeah, Maru's SCV spotting the natural expansion. No CC just yet. Maru plants his command center on the low ground. He has no idea this is coming.
Yeah.
And now the SCV coming into the main base sees one barracks, double gas, no other infrastructures. Maru should know something's up.
Well, he should know something's up. I don't know if he knows it's going to be a second barracks. He may think it's a factory and a starport. He may think it's a 1-1-1. I think that's the most logical conclusion to have from seeing this. And you could see he's checking down here. Like, could it be a Widow Mine drop, or is it something? I don't know. There's so many things you can do in TVT. It's hard for me to even keep track of sometimes. Something weird with cyclones, or we have had some weird stuff with Marauder pushes. Not that I think that would necessarily be good here, but it's going to be double Reapers.
Yeah, command center only about halfway done, so that is not going to finish unless Maru can pull out some really fancy micro.
So he denies the CC. A second SCV is being, well, I don't know if it's going to be sent down right away.
Canceled.
Okay, he cancels. That's so big.
That's smart. If you got to cancel, I mean, just do it now.
Yeah,
don't wait.
Sometimes the most ideal situation is that you see them even trying to fight to keep the CC up, but it's like, you should have ditched this. But look, canceling a CC, that's a lot of money lost.
Well, those three Reapers. Maru should have a very good idea. Reapers actually get the jump on one of those Marines, instantly take it out.
So, it's just Marines and Reapers right now. This damage can start to snowball really quickly, especially if he gets the kill on this Reaper.
Oh, he gets another Reaper, though. Only 2 Reapers left.
That's pretty big. Had he kept all 4 alive, he would have gotten a lot more SCVs after this. There are still Reapers coming. A second command center has started. Now, the command center for Cure is still behind build time-wise compared to Maru's. Now, Maru, I mean, he's okay. Cure's going to go right into bio. No fancy mech stuff. And I think what he wants to do is basically try to control the ground at the natural expansion. I should say, Cure wants to control the ground for Maru's natural expansion.
Yeah, just delay that expansion as long as possible. And Cure, even though his command center is a little bit delayed, he is building on the low ground, so he will save that liftoff time of the orbital flying into the natural. But Maru overall, pretty strong defense considering how late he scouted this. And especially after the Reapers basically got the jump on that first Marine all the way down on bottom, I thought that was the kind of situation where this might just snowball and Maru's going to lose 4, 5, 6 SCVs to the Reapers. But the fact that he was barely able to inch out that last shot with the Reaper and bring Cure down to 2 Reapers instead of 3, that saved Maru a lot of heartache. I mean, he only lost 2 SCVs in the end. You take that against somebody who's proxying a barrier against you, who is delaying their tech by so much, because now the game is basically normalized.
So this drop is inbound here with the 2 Cyclones. Again, this oh, nice spot, though, with the Reapers. I was about to say, we have a lot of games where both players are dropping each other, and it gets a little messy. But Cure realizes he can pull back over here just in time.
Siege Tank is not sieged.
Yeah, that's scary. But he's able to get in front. He's also able to repair that.
A really nice micro with the Reaper as well, by the way. Pulling that back at 1 HP, does it twice.
You know, not really getting anything done for Maru.
Good control by Cure.
Yeah.
Interference Matrix getting started now. The second Raven is in production here for Cure. Maru with no Ravens to speak of just yet.
I want to remind everybody how big this is going to be for Cure if he wins here. I mean, he really will have beaten the ghost of the past.
Yeah, Maru has just been the guy standing in his way every single GSL season for basically the last 2 years. And I can't even think of how many series Cure has won against Maru in that time. In the GSL, I think it's actually 0. Maybe 1. It just feels like it barely never happens. It feels like it barely never happens in the GSL.
Yeah. So over here in the main, we have a pretty empty main. I mean, he could drop right in there. The Cyclones are back. Again, they can't really do that much. If the tanks are placed correctly and they cover everything, there's not a lot you can do. Is he going to try to disable the medevac or anything? No. Even baits out a couple shots onto the Raven. Cure's not overreacting, by the way. I think he's basically waiting for the real push to send those Marines in there, because that might be all he needs.
Scans sees the third base timing here for Maru. Cure, if I'm not mistaken, he doesn't have a third command center, right?
I don't
the minimap. I don't see one.
I don't see one on the minimap. I didn't see one building earlier.
Yeah, unless I'm mistaken, he's just 2-basing this. Oh, there is one halfway done.
Oh, okay.
That's so odd. I'm looking at the minimap. I don't see the little box. Usually, I go by just seeing the box on the minimap.
I see a bigger square, and I go, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's going to fly in after all.
Drop now coming in as Interference Matrix just finishes up. Those Cyclones are going to try and get some damage done on this, but it is 7 Marines, and Cure, interestingly, not going for the Cyclone, instead going for the SCVs, and now that he's pulled some of Maru's units back into the main base, he's going to try and stop the third base from getting set up.
This is a little scary. Okay, he's got 2 Ravens to disable. He's got to do this perfectly.
But 3 Ravens here for Maru. I'm not sure Cure can breach this position.
He's going to try.
All right.
He doesn't pull the trigger. He actually sets up and hits infrastructure. This is really smart.
Yeah, this is looking good.
I feel like we almost always see people insta-cast disables out here. And instead, this is pretty good. He's going to force things to relocate. This may force Maru to take a fight.
Yeah, Maru going to come in with the disables now. Every single siege tank disabled from Cure. His are going to get set up. One of the siege tanks is not disabled for Maru, so a lot more firepower in the back line. Reaper Grenades actually providing a lot of staying power here for Cure, but I think Maru, once his disables pop, he might just barely have enough. It's so close. Viking landing on the high ground, going to assist with a lot of damage, and Maru barely cleans up this fight with those 2 siege tanks remaining.
That's insane.
Oh, that was so close.
But the third CC is landed here for Cure. So it was like almost a perfect trade, but you know, the income's going to kick in a little bit more quickly. And I don't know that either side has enough Marines to attack into the other side. You need kind of a core amount of those, kind of a backbone, so that your siege tanks even have protection.
Yeah, that was an engagement which could have pivoted the game in either the favor of Maru or the favor of Cure very heavily, but it just barely stayed even. Both players still have 2 Ravens alive. The siege tank counts relatively healthy on both sides, and the third base is getting established with the army supplies basically even. But the fact that, well, Maru thinks that he has a Viking superiority, I think, coming in here with these 4 Vikings out on the map. Cure is just a step ahead, man. Already at 6 Vikings. Maru wants to get some damage done, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to get it with the Viking count being as healthy as it is here for Cure. This is very different from the way Cure played against ByuN. I want to add on to this. He is really playing the opponent in both of these series. Against ByuN, did not lean heavily into the Vikings, but he knows that Maru loves to play the air superiority game with these highly technical armies. Actually, Cure trying to catch him in the middle. Okay. Cure might be able to corner him, but I don't know if he has enough.
Well, he can't get out of here because he doesn't have medevacs. Oh, so this is actually crazy. He's actually stuck up here. Dust of Routers, destructible rocks. the biggest part of this game right now. Cure's set up over here. The Marines, the SCVs are exposed. Auto turrets are coming down. Vikings are just wiping out these Ravens.
Yeah, no disables coming in. Instead, just one auto turret gets dropped, but with the SCV pull, Maru is going to be able to dislodge Cure, I think, barely. The Vikings actually getting so much done.
The Vikings are clutch for soaking damage when things get dicey. It's kind of insane. But 21 SCVs are killed. That's really the big story here. Not that the game goes on and that Maru survives, but that Cure is further ahead economically. His fourth base has already started. SCV production is restarting right now here for Maru.
Yeah, that was a really good move by Cure to just corner Maru in that top side. He knew Maru wanted to get something done, and he made Maru pay the price for it. I mean, 20 SCVs is nothing to balk at. The fact that Cure's up at 76 right now with that fourth base soon to be established, I feel like Maru almost has to get something done in this stage, but the army supplies are still relatively even. It's only a 10 army supply lead right now for Maru. It's going to be tough for him to get the damage done that he needs. Although that siege tank getting picked off is a very good start here, Tasteless.
Yeah, it's a start, but he's got to go all the way here. It's cool to see Maru playing from behind. I feel like you can learn more about Terran. We've seen him play from behind than anybody else. Because very often Maru just is never behind. He's either even or he's steadily ahead.
Oh, the Liberator's getting added to the mix with these Vikings. Ooh. Oh my goodness, you're barely surviving with that one. But this Liberator is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting right now and securing this push at the third base because Maru, once again, he has air superiority. This is his playground, basically, is air superiority and a TVT and slow pushing and expansion. He loves to do this. And Cure, he doesn't really have the production to match Maru in the sky, so he has to evacuate the third base, and he just has to focus all of his production on army on the ground. He needs to get a big surround on Maru's army if he wants to get a good engagement. You can see him kind of positioning for that right now. He's fishing for a disable with this Raven.
Okay, he's going to be able to get rid of that. Oh, hold on, the Liberator, a dive on the Liberator, a pullback, but the tank's unsieging, the tank's taken out.
Liberator getting so much damage done.
Oh,
Maru's pushing now into the
natural
expansion. There isn't much left. Cure's going to have to go with this army at the third.
He just doesn't have any tanks.
Yeah, he
has literally no tanks.
There is very little left right now for Cure. Maru in one fell swoop is just absolutely knocking Cure out of this game. He's waiting for 1-1 to finish. He wants the upgrades, or 2-2, excuse me. He wants an upgrade advantage. But I don't even know that's going to be enough. These siege tanks are in such a killer position in the natural expansion.
I think he's dropping on the tanks. Yeah, he's dropping something over here because the tanks in the back are by far the strongest. He's going to come up here. I don't know, man. I think Maru just barely has enough.
I mean, the SCVs are getting pulled. It's allowing a lot of staying power here for Cure, but the damage might be a little bit too much, Tasteless. He is going to clean this up, but at what cost? He's down to 26 SCVs.
Well, I guess is there a counter punch he can do? Can he even take his... It's 2 base to 3 base right now.
I mean, the army supply now is in the advantage of Cure. Maybe there is a world he's actually able to push this one back. I feel like Cure is basically all in from this position.
Well, where's the tanks? I mean, we saw one get picked off in the middle of the map.
Where's Maru's macro? There's very little reinforcements coming in. The army supplies are even, but look at this bottleneck right now with the SCVs. Keep in mind, these are 2-2 Marines against the 1-1 of Maru, and there's so many more medevacs for Cure.
He's spreading really nicely.
Oh, wow, he's done it! I thought Cure was dead to rights with that push, but he has fought the ghost from off his back, and Cure, in a big upset, is the first player to advance.
That was so cool. You know,
wow.
It's funny. We saw that one tank in the middle of the map, and I'm like, well, that means there's one less back at home. The 2-2 upgrades, I mean, it paid off. What an insane day of PvTs, man, and what a story. What a plot twist. What a nice development in GSL to have Cure do that. And, you know, he did it once, he could do it again. And in great games, too.
Yeah, those were exciting games. Maru was so close to closing it out with that push.
Yeah.
Cure was basically on death's door. He had, what, 26 SCVs. He wasn't mining from the natural. He wasn't mining from the third base. He had just barely enough army left after that engagement to survive, come in with a push, and kill Maru. I mean, that was... If that engagement went any better for Maru, we're going to a Game 3. Instead, Cure, first place from Group A. Congratulations, Cure. You've defeated Maru 2-0 to advance to the quarterfinals. How are you feeling? Well, I never expected a 2-0 win over Maru. It feels weird, honestly, that I've been able to make this happen. Well, overall today, you've shown a lot of comeback potential, a lot of comeback victories. What do you think was the key to that success today? Well, I try to focus a lot on the middle game. So most of my builds were focused on specifically succeeding in the mid game. And so I think that despite some damage that I took early on, I was able to have a big enough army in the middle game to come back in a lot of these matches. Well, Maru for the last couple of years has been the player that stops you in pretty much every GSL, but finally you've gotten revenge on him. Do you think you'll be able to beat him again in this GSL if that happens? Well, after Dallas, I was feeling, honestly, very disappointed in myself. So I took some deep introspection on how I played, and I tried to reassess my skills objectively. And I think I was able to learn a lot from that introspection. So now I feel like if I do my best, I might be able to defeat Maru in the end here in GSL. Well, in game number 2 against Maru, you went for a proxy on Ghost River. How much of your games against ByuN was mind game specifically for your matchup against Maru is what they're asking now. Saying, well, I didn't really get to play a lot of early game styles against ByuN, so that's why in game number 2 against Maru, I decided to come out with a proxy build. And in fact, I was trying to focus, I think he said he wanted to focus more on the early game against Maru as opposed to the late game. Now, Kira's saying recently, I've been practicing very hard for this GSL. I want to make it to the finals again. I want to be the champion. Now the Korean commentators are saying, we are going to be having the finals at a larger venue this season. Is there anything you want to say to the fans now that you booked your ticket to that finals? Of course, he's saying he's not happy with his recent performance there in Dallas and also in GSL, so he's hoping his fans continue to cheer for him, and he's going to show a better performance in this final, Tasteless.
Hell yeah, dude. Guys, we're going to a break. Sue versus ByuN coming up next here. The loser is out. Of course, Cure has moved on, and this leaves Maru in our final match. We'll be right back.
All of my thoughts be dark like coal. Face down in the water I float. I try to speak my mind, but I choke. I'm on the tightrope. Tired, I can't cope. No lying, no hope. The lying might show. Up to the party, y'all don't want smoke. Energize the body, raise up the arm. Right now, tell me who you are, get in the car. Right now, you feel the stars, I want it all. Right now, tell me who you are, get in the car. Right now, you feel the stars, I want it all. Right now, tell me who you are, get in the car. Right now, you feel the stars, I want it all. Right now, just into the car, fighting a war. Right now, we shitting with y'all, I'm in the store. Right, put your feet on the ground, look around. It's the siege and we back in your town, burning it down. You've been waiting too long for the sound. Time is now, got you hanging on every single word, verb and now. Give you what you been waiting for now, what you praying for. This the type of we slaving for. Get you another hit, I know you craving more. I'm in this, but they go Super Saiyan boy. I am a higher being, whole world at my command. I got the whole damn planet here in the palm of my hand. Watch out, back out, wait up, might wake up, stay up, they gon' get it, they gon' take us, raise up, we got color, they try and gray us, you are not listening to the greatest.